Yeah, I'll just about it. Okay. A little bit. I don't know how much Tony told you about our company, but Tony used to operate off of DeliverLogic, which is our company. We've been around for 14 years now. We have a software as a service for restaurant delivery services. We produce apps, online ordering, delivery logistics, like driver apps. We hook in a bunch of point of sale systems, automate marketing, automate payments, like a whole slew, just like of products for the restaurant delivery industry and restaurants direct. Some of our clients are like Five Guys, Applebee's, Red Robin, Dickey's. And then we have a bunch of restaurant delivery services, like 150 all over the world, that use our software. And Tony used to have My Town to Go, which they were operating off of our software while he owned that company. I know he's familiar with the company. But so one of my biggest requirements or asks to my dev team was, how do we go from idea to deployment as quickly as possible, right? And I gave them the task of, hey, somebody like myself should be able to, with natural language, add on to our software. And there's a bunch of IDEs and I'm not, like me, I've been in tech for about 23 years or so, but I'm not a programmer by trade. Like I've just ran tech teams and whatever and had tech companies. So how familiar are all of you with, if I'm talking about Claude Code or Cursor and Jira, Bitbucket code repositories, all that you're familiar with that?
Yeah, we've all written code and deployed it, and as well as deployed entire applications using Claude Code.
Okay,
And
beautiful.
so we're pretty familiar with it.
Okay, great. One of the things with Claude Code, so our guys either use Cursor, Claude Code, could be Codex. There's a bunch of different ones out there, Windsurf. And one of the constraints, which all these systems are amazing and we still use them, but one of the limitations, I should say, and not sure if you have run into this, but especially with legacy Codebase, is that it doesn't have full context of your entire application, right? So we have
Right.
13 different repositories. We use Jira, we use Bitbucket, and it's cool. If you're working on a sliver, if we're working on just the driver app, cool. Like it has the context, you can upload everything, and it has a lot of the files, and it's pretty accurate. But that driver app affects other aspects of the code.
It doesn't know about, right?
Exactly. So there's a huge issue in that. And my whole thing was, number one, for our developers, how do we provide Claude Code, Cursor, whatever, with the ability to have full context, a deep understanding of our entire code base, including all of our repositories, all of our documentation, everything, and have a true understanding of it. And then once we have that, how do we go from idea to deployment as quickly as possible in natural language? Because the goal is, for me, it's like, our developers really shouldn't be developing new features and squashing bugs as much as they should be developing tooling to help our individual clients or junior devs or whatever to produce, or an outside ecosystem to produce accurately without, let's just say, vibe coding shit that gets deployed and it breaks everything, because that's a very scary issue. Mm-hmm. That is the premise of like where my head was at for the company moving forward. And that's where this tooling came from that we've worked on for a year and a half. And it's been me with a couple of guys, like just grinding it out. Weekends they're working, and it's become their passion projects because they see how powerful it is. So I'm going to go over what we've done, what our tooling is. And the reason why I was telling Tony is because I really think that the tooling that we built and what we've done is more valuable than like our entire company that we've had for 14 years, right? Because even though we have a tremendous amount of value in all the code that we've built and our applications and all that, creating tooling to allow other companies to become 50% more efficient while reducing their bugs by 50%, like that's never ending, right? Like the value that you can create from there is just silly. And a lot of times a lot of these companies are using Claude Code or Cursor, and you can actually develop bugs quicker, right, than you used to, because you're checking shit in.
It's just a matter of, it's just a math equation. More code, more bugs. Yeah.
Exactly. Unless if that code has full context and has less issues. So I'm going to share my screen. There it is. And I'll just take you through like where we originally started, and then I'll take you into essentially where we're at now. So the first thing, do you guys use Slack by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you use like Jira, Bitbucket,
Yep.
or GitHub?
All of them.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So this will be nice and easy. So for Slack, the first thing we did is we built this AI code assistant. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we built this AI code assist, which is just a channel. And then we built this coding assistant, which is just an agent that we have an orchestration layer built to the back, into the back of it. Okay. And what this orchestration layer does is we've essentially vectorized our entire platform. And you have semantic meaning, right? Which is LLMs understand semantic meaning. They don't understand what is it called? Like exact. It's all, instead of being deterministic, it's like probability based, right? That's how LLMs work. So when you feed it information, it's just saying, oh, it's probably this solution, right? So let's just say in the code base, we have something that's called drivers under whatever, PHP, right? Now, when you're using an LLM to code, a lot of times it'll give you back semantic meaning if it doesn't understand your exact code base. And that is because like sometimes it'll say, most likely it's driver xl.php. And you're like, no, it's like driver.php. Why are you implementing something that's a little bit different? It's because it's doing a probability based. And now if it has direct access to a specific code base, it should know better, and it should, like Claude Code and those things, shouldn't make those mistakes as much. But when you're looking at like the entire code base and you're vectorizing everything, that happens a lot more, and you have to try to solve those problems. So back to the Slack thing. So we built this agent that sits in.
Can I ask a quick question real quick, Anthony? Sorry to interrupt you, but your agent, because I've built agents as well that is integrated with Slack. I'm just curious, where's the backside of your agent? NA?
Yeah, NAN.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So we have a whole orchestration layer back there. And then we have some stuff that's self-hosted on AWS. So we string together a bunch of different things, and it's all self-hosted. But yeah, ask any questions, interrupt me at any time. So this agent, just so you guys have an understanding, this is something that I wrote to it. And like our entire team uses this for everything now. But we have this issue going on in the Glue app. Can you help? Key issues, duplicate API calls is called twice within 2 seconds. And I think this came from like one of our logs or something. And so I dropped this in. And what this does is it goes into our orchestration layer, and our agent goes in and it starts doing research. Hey, I see exactly what's happening here. High level, right? It goes in, understands the code, deep dive from the code. It goes into the code, the exact API being duplicated, no caching there. So each call hits RDS fresh, which this is our main code base. And so it's going through all this, right? And then it explains everything, quick fix path, and it's backwards compatible. You could do this, prefer, whatever. So it goes through, and then how to test it, right? If you share the exact PR commit, I can pull diffs, whatever. So I said, can you create a root team ticket story to solve this issue? And so how do we start creating tickets that are more efficiently? How do we make sure that the tickets are extremely well defined? So when you are using Claude Code or any type of system, that it has a good understanding. So boom, this creates a root team ticket, which this is one of our main projects in Jira. And so if I open up this ticket, this was created by the bot, and you see the description, of course, the subject, and it gives, what are we doing? Eliminate duplicate API calls. What's the objective? Single API call per page navigation, reduce load time speed by 50 to 70%. It's backwards compatible, recommended implementation approach, code base location references. So this is pulling from our code base. What's the end deliverable? Acceptance criteria. So this is what it builds. Now, if I go into here, and we haven't done this yet, but if I go into a label and I just tag help, and you'll see in a second, this starts another automation. So this first one is like a research automation that builds a ticket, and it doesn't go extremely deep, like a deep research into how to solve the problem. but it has a full understanding of where it is in the code base. Now, when I tag this with help, it's going to start another automation that's going to go extremely deep into all the different code bases. It's going to go into the different repositories, and it's going to make sure that holistically it can come up with a solution or multiple solutions that it can suggest with the actual code, right? Now you could take, yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask one quick clarifying question.
Yeah.
In your actual agent itself, the guts of your agent, I'm assuming all of your code, you've got that as your knowledge base, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So, all right.
So you can just go into the vector and search it there.
Correct. And then there's other things that you have to do to make sure that from the vector, it's properly indexing things and then going to the code and different, and you guys know this, William, you probably know this, but different models are amazing at doing different things.
Right. Yeah.
And being able to split test all this shit it's crazy, right? Because it's, like Grok 4.1 could do this and it costs this much, but it doesn't really do a deep enough research. And Gemini 3.0 Pro can do this and it costs this much. And Claude Opus is great at building whatever it is. There's just all these models.
And the reality is they're changing on the daily. ChatGPT just released a new thing. And then 2 days later, Claude will release a new version. Right. So it's a constant battle.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm getting a clear picture of what you're doing. So
yeah.
It's a pain point for every company out there, right? That's a tech.
Yeah. Yep.
If you have legacy
and
code.
It's not just in your lane, by the way. This is a need for every business.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I'm like, this is more valuable than our entire company, I believe, just because this is a pain point and like what it's done for our productivity and the reduction of bugs is crazy, right? So you go from, okay, let's use Claude Code, and you start deploying. Of course, that increases the code that, your deployment and your cycles and things like that. But it also comes with, like we were saying earlier, now you're going to have issues with bugs, right? And, it didn't think of this. And as we know, all these models are not deterministic. They're all probability based. And like you can write one thing and you get some code and it works. And then the next piece of code that you add breaks something or whatever. So it's like, how do you reduce that stuff? So let's see if I check back now. Yeah. So see how it added a new comment here. So if I go down here, this is like the coding assistant. So it gives you the solution, function impact analysis, current code, gives you modified code. And it just essentially gives you the code and the modified code and different approaches that you could take, right? And so you guys see all this. So now it's like, all right, then you have to create an MCP, because what you want to be able to do is you want Claude Code or Cursor or whatever. If you have a MCP that's just wrapped this entire tool that we've done, now you can in Claude Code say, hey, grab root ticket 457, we're going to work on it. It pulls the ticket. It reads through the ticket. It has the context of how to solve the problem. So you're already giving it direction on what to do, where to go, different code bases, different repositories. And it's a lot more accurate just from that, right? And so that's what this has done, as you see here.
So Anthony, just from a perspective of you saying this is extremely valuable, and I agree, I think agents are absolutely the future of AI. They're not the future, they're here. They're not just the future. Yeah. The use case for agents is huge. One of the things I'm seeing from your perspective is you've really thought out your agent, and that's really the guts. That's in my opinion and experience, that's really the only way to really have a truly effective agent is to really brainstorm how the process flow of how you would do this manually, and then how do you put the automation pieces in play.
Yeah.
So it's but to get to the guts of my question,
is that me or that's her?
Obviously, when you build an agent, you would just replace the knowledge base, but the way sorry about that. You would just replace the knowledge base and maybe the way the agent operated. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So a lot of this now that and you hit it on the head, it's like you have to just grind through and split test the hell out of everything. It's like with most businesses, like you can architect whatever the hell you want. It's going to change 1,000%. Like once you get into it, and that's just how it works. I didn't think about this, and okay, now we have to do this, which also affects this, and we have to change. So it's just working through that stuff that takes a long time. But yeah, that's essentially what we've done. And how do you bring business and dev teams together to make everybody more efficient? And the way to do that is if everybody is speaking code, right, through natural language. Hence why we started from Slack, and we could take our QA guys or our customer service department and they can ask questions. Hey, why did this happen? And it will respond to them. Like you'll see in this coding assistant, just like random things that like our guys will ask, how does pre-send V3 work for auto dispatch? And this isn't gonna, some of these, this did, but it'll pick up on the intent. And if it thinks that, so this is one of our customer support agents. And a lot of times it won't respond in code if it thinks that the user is not asking about code. Right? It's like, how do we do this?
And you can probably prompt it in a specific way to tell it, hey, I don't want the code. I just want an explanation kind of thing as well.
And you can do that, and it'll definitely know your intent at that time. We try to create it so the person doesn't have to say, hey, I'm a customer support representative. I don't really understand code. Just give me the steps on how to fix this issue, not through code. And it's like, go into this setting on the back end, 1, 2, 3, you can do this. And so it has to pick up on like the question if it thinks it needs to respond in layman's terms or in technical terms, if somebody from the dev team is an engineer is asking it a question. So that's all part of the prompting and all that stuff. Sure. They have to figure out how to do all that. So yeah, so that's what we've built out. And then we have an MCP. So when you're in Claude Code, you say, hey, use the MCP, pull this ticket. And now it's using the MCP while it's coding through Claude Code. And it has the same access as this agent. So then it can go in, understand the semantic meaning, which gives it the ability to go into all the different repositories, pull what it needs to, and then really construct code that is going to be holistically thinking about our entire tech stack, right? Through our 13 repositories. So that's like the first part. And like I said, it's how do we really make it easy from everybody from a customer support agent that finds a bug or is having an issue to generate a ticket that's a beautiful ticket for the engineers, for the dev team to crank out, right? Before you have everybody creating tickets their own way, you try to standardize processes, and then it's like the devs get on and they try to estimate a ticket and they're like, I don't know what the hell this means. We got to get them on a call. We got to talk about it. There's no more of that. So that alone has increased our efficiency by 200%, just that. So that's the first part. Now I'm going to take you into the second part, which is a work in progress, but it's already working and it's great, which is we've now created our own terminal that can actually code from natural language, right? And so what we've built out, as you see this, is our DeliverLogic terminal. And let's see. So here we have an admin portal where you have different users. You can see like all the different users and instances. You could see and you can give different users permissions, browser tunnels, in which we'll get into that, recordings of everything, the different sessions, any settings, right? So we've built this all out. But I'm going to go back to the user portal. So for us, this is like my user, and then I have different instances. So in our code base, we have instances for every single client. They're on their own instance. So, what I had our system admin do is just give me a couple of our instances. So Tech 13 is one of the instances. So when I click on that, you're going to see that it's going to load Claude Code here. Let me go ahead and log out and log back in.
And the back end of this is Claude Code then.
So we can hook it up to like Codex, Claude Code. We can hook it up to different IDEs, if you will.
In your estimation and experience so far, do you believe Claude is one of the better?
Our guys use Claude Code and they use Cursor is what they use.
Yeah.
So let them use what they want, but it's cool. Use whatever you want, but being able to create a systematic and a unified approach is extremely important. So if you're tapping into an MCP and that MCP has everything organized, cool. If you want to use Claude Code, if you want to use Cursor, cool. Make sure it's tapping into our MCP. Make sure that the MCP and all this stuff has built-in things that it knows that things have to be backwards compatibles. And you have all these different rules that should be the same for everybody.
And also design and all that kind of stuff is shared amongst the entire group so they don't have to go back. And one person comes up with a great way to illustrate like your buttons or something like that. And everybody suddenly has it.
100%.
That would be huge.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And you can actually do that in here. It's attempting to reconnect. Let me see what is going on here. Trying to connect to terminal 13. It's weird. I use this thing all the time. I don't know what's being. Let me try to log out. Let me just refresh. Maybe, I don't know. Close this down.
So basically, this is your own internal Vibe tool, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Come on, load.
While you're working on this, can I ask you a question about your vectors? Do you store your vectors locally, or do you use like a Snowflake or something like that to store all that stuff and pull it in through the cloud?
Yeah, we're using Snowflake.
Okay.
Or Pinecone or some shit.
Pinecone, yeah.
Yeah, I think Pinecone is what NAN uses a lot.
Okay, so he'll fix that. But let me just go over what this does, if I can freaking get it to load. I'll just go over some things. So here, and as you see, some of this stuff is not designed. Oh, there we go. Okay. So here you'll see like you can create prompts, right? And then you can share them with different like public sharing, right? So what you were talking about, so modernizing the system admin, right? So I put in a prompt, use the manage fees tab under the admin restaurant, whatever this is our back end. What the fuck is going on? Oh, Tech 13 is down. That's the reason why it's not connecting. Hold on. Tech 13 is down.
That might be a problem.
Yeah, and it was just up because I was just on it. So that's the issue. Let me go to a different instance to just show you. Go to one of our live clients. Hopefully our live clients aren't down right now. That would not be good. Okay, live client is up. Let me log in here. And so what I did is for this prompt, I just went into one of the tabs here. I forget what it was, but financial or something. We made I started making changes myself to just make it a little bit more organized than our old school stuff. And the great thing about it is, for me, it's great because this prompt essentially says, hey, listen, to make it easy as hell on our clients, for somebody, and you guys don't really have a SaaS business, but for our clients in general, when they would come back here, them having easy directions on what all this stuff means and having little widgets that they can test things and really structuring it so it could make sense to them is an extremely hard thing to do with developers, or you have to have a whole design team figure out how to Claude Code and all that. They could just boom, just knock it out. It leaves tool tips. It'll make little widgets for, hey, you want to set your delivery rates to this, here's a little drag and drop widget. Okay, cool. And it just shows our clients that have to manage their business much easier. So the amount of questions that we have come in with non-existence, and the tickets that we have created, it reduces those drastically just because we can do that. And this is something that somebody on the business side that thinks like the end user business owner should be able to go in there and just changing the code without having to have a design developer figure all this stuff out. So
how do you protect yourself against somebody going rogue and doing something stupid that wasn't approved by the company that they thought was a great idea? Do you have a watch person that kind of approves stuff that goes through?
Or even on the code?
What's that?
Even boundaries on the code, so it can't do certain things. I'm just to follow up to add to your question, Chris.
Yeah, so what it does is it'll be able to do like a pull request and things like that. It won't be actually be able to check the code into like our master branch unless if it has access to that, which is part of that admin portal. So for me, I only have read access to the database and like they've cut it off. So I can do whatever the hell I want and I'm not putting new columns in the database and in our master branch and screwing things up. So all of that's built into it. Different users have different access and what they can do. And can they do the pull requests and merging and all of that? So that's like the end part that we're working on how to make sure that all those things are done properly. So like it goes back to Jira and it adds the pull request or in the Jira ticket, and then it still goes through our system. Now, when that goes into Jira, now we can hit it, which I didn't do and I didn't show you. But then when it goes into code review needed as a status, right? Then AI does a code review. And then it's okay, you want a different AI system doing a code review or multiple AI systems, models doing code review. So Claude Code may have coded it up using Opus 4.5, but you may want like Grok 4 doing code review with Gemini 3 to counteract like the models, right? So built into our Jira is, and that whole orchestration is the AI code review. And then we also are, of course, are doing manual code review and they read through the code review and until we feel extremely comfortable, which we're not there yet. But yeah, good question. And that's how we combat that. So the other cool thing, which I'll go over, is you can add files. So drop images and things like that while you're coding and it'll add it in for you. So let me see if he's fixed this. He's usually pretty damn good.
Now, did the developers use this interface as well, or they're sticking with Windsurf or Cursor or whatever they do on their side, right? This is just for the, like support staff and other people in the company to participate.
Okay, it's up now. Sorry, I was just trying to see if I could get it.
All good.
Okay, so what were you saying? Let me listen.
So this interface right here with the that we're seeing, who are the actual users of that interface? It's not necessarily the devs because they're using Cursor and Windsurf and whatever tools they want.
So they are right now. The goal is to get everybody to be using this at some point.
Okay, so this is the goal. I see.
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. So it'll be used by all of our dev team, engineers, whatever, and it'll be used by guys like me that don't really code, right? I can sit there and like I show you, and I will show you once this damn thing works, is how I can code. Reconnected successfully. Is it hello? Let's see. Hello. Okay, it's connected. So maybe it was connected. Okay. Okay, it's connected. All right. So now the other thing is like, how do you, so if I take this and I go into my terminal, what this is going to do is it's going to set up and it's going to set up my Chrome browser so then it can take over the browser for me. So it's going to do its own QA. It'll take screenshots. Okay, it's up.
Do you use Playwright to do this?
What's that?
Use Playwright to do this?
No, our guy's just built in.
No way, really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So like I'll just do something live on Tech 13 to show you. Let me just go here. So I'm just going to go into, I don't freaking know, restaurants and test restaurant. And so I've already been working on this. I've added like the breadcrumbs and stuff because we never used to have breadcrumbs and it was annoying because we couldn't just get straight to a URL. So like I've added that for these tabs. They never had specific URL. Okay. So a lot of this was redesigned by me. And this is, you can, like I was saying, so I'm not going to edit this, but let me go into locations. What in the shit is going on? This is crazy. This is annoying me. Sorry. Places. Better work. Okay. So whatever this place is, select a place. You go into restaurants. I'll just do this, whatever. All right, so I'll have it like redesign this page.
Okay.
Like, so I'll go into here and I'm going to use this prompt here, which is modernize the admin portal. So what I told it to do is I said, hey, go to this page, look at the structure and the design elements and follow this, right? So I'm going to paste that in and I'm just going to hit enter here. And what it's going to do is it's going to, and part of this prompt is, and I just made this easy for me. It's like, you will need to ask me for the specific page and tab so I can keep it
within scope,
organized.
Yeah.
And it say, please provide the page path tab name. So now I'm just going to paste in whatever this is, right? And now I can switch this to planning mode, which I didn't do. And planning mode would be better for a large project or a page. Like this should be pretty easy for it to redesign.
Yeah. The more complex things where it has like multiple parameters it has to work around and.
Yeah. And it may need it for this, but whatever, we'll see what it does. And it may just design the main page.
All the fundamental features in there, but lipstick on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I found that it's best just to do silo the pieces because it loses its way sometimes, or sometimes it gets bigger and better. So you never know.
Yeah. So what this will do is it'll go in, it'll start coding it, and then part of it, of the prompt is, hey, you also need to QA it, which is, hey, act as a professional QA tester and test every element of this new feature prior to being complete. And that's the part where it goes into testing. It'll take over my browser and you'll start to see it just fill things in, take screenshots, do what it needs to do. It'll edit it and then it'll finish the project. So essentially that was the vision, is like, how do we go? How does somebody like me go from idea to deployment? And of course, like all of my developers are like, oh, you won't just need us anymore. I'm like, no, like you don't understand. Like the goal isn't to have you try to figure out how to change this page or how to add this feature. The goal for you guys should be completely shifting your mindset to how do we create tooling to make others more productive? I don't want to hire other developers. I just want, and if we do, cool, let's hire some junior guys that can plug into this stuff. Yeah. And like, it makes it 10 times easier for them. So you could pay guys less to do a lot more and put guardrails around them. Yeah. And so you're taking your main resources and using them for tooling. And so it's been a struggle. It was a struggle for me to just get them to use AI. And
it's because they have their ways of doing it. And there's I only work with senior level developers. And this is my biggest problem, which is I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job. Is the 100%. First one. That's the first thing they're like, hey, is AI going to put me out of business? Which is never the case. It's no, we're going to probably hire more people.
Yeah.
And the second one is, yeah, but it's going to create inferior code.
Yeah.
I've yet to see that. Honestly, I've yet to see inferior code come out of Claude Code. Now, there's some others that it's iffy, but Claude Code, I would say, is better than my best developer when it's prompted properly.
Yeah, exactly. If you have the systems and the guardrails put around it, and it can get into the code base and it understands things, it's okay.
It can understand things at such a broader level than a human can do.
There's no way, and that's what I had to preach to them. I'm like, listen, so let's just take the guy that's been working for us the longest, and he's like our senior dev engineer. You know, he's been with us for 8 years. I'm like, with all the knowledge you have, is still probably it's 1/100th of the full context that our code base has from 100 different developers working on different projects at different time. And you're trying to figure out like what the hell they did and try to refactor their code. Get out of here with that. Like, why? You don't need to be Superman. Just use the damn tools. And if you're building value, you can build value 100 times faster if you learn how to use the tools and work with the tooling. Let's see what this is doing. A lot of times it'll ask questions, of course, damn it. Allow all edits. So now it's going to go in. It created a little bit of a plan. So yeah, so that's what this is doing. And
That's
then,
great.
yeah, so any other question? And then you could take like screenshots and it'll automatically drop it in.
Yeah. So if we were to
Um,
build this ourselves, what would you recommend what is our first steps so that we can incrementally build this? Because I mean, you guys have been at it this like for probably over a year now. And
Yeah.
so you've been down the path. If you were to go back again and do this, like what would you suggest? Like where would we start to get into something like this?
I would suggest like the first thing you have to do is figure out how to vectorize everything and then have
Get the
it,
code into vector. Yeah.
yeah, and then have it all talk with your code base. That's really, because if you don't, it's like the data that goes in, it's either you have great data or you have shit data.
Yeah.
So that's the first
Yeah.
thing. It's like,
Garbage in, garbage out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the vectors properly talking to your actual repositories properly, then it creates more slop even than if you were just to use Claude Code.
So basically
and
vectorize MCP and then start just split testing the crap out of it to see that it's lining up properly.
yeah, and what I told Tony, I said, if you guys are interested, like I would love to have my guys build this out for you, right? Because I want to start this into its own business. And if you guys are using Slack and you're using Jira and you're using Bitbucket, like you don't need to do it. We'll self-host
Plug it in.
it for you. Yeah, we'll get it set up for you. And you guys can start testing it and you can continue to do what you're doing and we can work on your tooling, or you guys can want us to add other tools and maybe we charge you a setup fee or whatever. I don't know how long it would take our guys. It depends on what it seems like. You already use Slack, you already use Jira, you use Bitbucket. Cool. Now,
And I have innate experience. We're using it. If we're ultimately going to build out the agent component of it, that would be helpful too. Yeah. Let's talk to Tony about this, Chris, especially if you see, I think there's some value propositions here, probably some pretty big ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is really incredible.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad that you guys see the value.
Yeah. This is earth-shattering incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. I love to hear that. So are you the CTO over there? Or?
No, I'm a full stack developer, but I lead a team of 20 developers. Yeah. And we've been in this for a long time. The developer that's been with me the longest is 16 years. So I have a deep relationship with all of my guys, I think.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be great to be able to help get them on board, because while they're using AI and stuff like that, they're still super nervous. And what I keep harping on is, listen, this is going to open up so many opportunities for us that you will have more work than you will ever dream of.
Yeah.
Because when you get it done cheaper, you can get more. Everybody's going to want you.
It's hard. They don't think in business terms and value creation. I don't care who you talk to. If you are using the tools and you're creating value and the company gets rid of you, you don't need to be working for that company.
That's right.
Now, or you're just not creating value and get out of here anyways. It's one of the two. Either the company's an idiot for firing you or you're just not good. So if you're scared because you're not good, okay, you could be scared. But if you're scared to use tools to make you more productive and create more value because the company will then let you go, then you just don't understand business, and that's okay. We'll lead you to the promised land. We're not going to get.
They can go work for somebody who's not using AI, but eventually it'll catch up for them.
Yeah,
and then those junior level developers coming out of college will
eat you alive.
Yeah,
100%.
They are gone.
Yeah,
at that point.
100%. Yeah.
So it's that mentality of a scarcity mindset, right? That it's like
it's not just this space. I've talked to photographers, transcription is all lanes, and I'm always like telling them, hey, embrace it, use it. Like it's your leverage, not the other way around.
It's all in the perspective. That's
right. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, and nothing against developers or that mindset. And listen, you're going to have the ones that, like the guys that are building this out, they're on my development team, right? There were some of them that are senior level guys that I'm like, hey, the most, I want you to start building out these toolings. And they were just so like opposed to it. They would huff and puff, all this bullshit. And then I just took my two guys that every time I worked with them, they're just like, and we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this. And even though they haven't been with the company for 8-9 years, they've only been with us for 3-4 years. They are just like these problem solvers. I want to do new shit. They're the ones that are like working on the weekends because they're just like eating it up. And I said, all right, listen, cool. I get it. you don't think this is the right direction, continue to do what you're doing. Now we're building out all these tools. And of course, like my main guys their minds are blown, right? Now they used to be against using, like I used to bring up MCP like to them 8 months ago. And they're like, please shut the fuck up about MCP. And I'm like, listen, we got to be on this because it's the only way that now MCP, it's good for certain things. It's very inefficient for many things. But now it's boom, they got their Claude code hooked up. And they used to just like copy and paste stuff into Claude or GPT or Grok. And then I was like, listen, we need to connect this with Cursor or with our code repository to make it so you don't have to copy and paste stuff. And so it's been like these baby steps, but now we have everything fully integrated.
It's almost like they have to see it before they believe it. Or your other two developers are like, they believe it before they make it.
Exactly.
It's just a different mindset.
Yeah, they see. Kim, can you mute if you don't mind? Thank you. They see the vision, and it's just a personality thing. They don't have the negative, scared mindset. They have the opportunistic mindset of holy shit, like I could be doing all this stuff, and they just work on the weekend.
Yeah, the biggest thing this is going to add value to our team is going to be the cross context of multiple technologies. That we have a lot of technologies within our stack, and when you meld that with all the context that we already have, this is where it's going to provide us even more broader visibility that we don't necessarily think of. That's going to help and assist us. So
100%.
Yeah, I've seen this before, but the fact that you have it in somewhat of a package, is that the case here? Is this what your goal is?
Yeah, my goal is to understand. My goal is to like, I want to take this as a product and start implementing it for other companies, right? And I want to be able to say, okay, it's going to cost $150 an hour to set this up for you because you're already using these things, and cool, you're using Slack and Jira and Bitbucket, and we're already doing all that. We have and we can self-host it for you. Cool, it's going to take us whatever 100 hours we think to vectorize your code, to get everything hooked up like we have, and it's going to cost whatever X amount to get you set up, and then we're going to charge you X amount per month plus token usage, and you guys will be good. And then, like, I'm willing to just say, hey, listen, it'll be fully refundable if you don't think it's freaking worth it. I already know it's worth it. And if if you're that dumb, I just know it's worth it. So if you're increasing productivity.
Question on the token piece of it, can we just connect our own ecosystems and put our own bill?
Yeah, you could. We could do anything. You could do anything. The issue would be, so like we're constantly, there's probably a cost benefit, right? Because cool, you can hook up your own things, but then if we're constantly working on updating the infrastructure, it makes it less expensive. You could, like right now, you could be using, you could set it up and it's using Opus 4.5 or something, which is an expensive model. And boom, on the back end, we've already changed our stuff because we've split tested, and now we're using whatever the heck it is, and we've just decreased the cost by a half. Cool, you're on your own thing, but you're not keeping up with it. And now our goal is to reduce the cost as much as possible, because let's just say we're going to add on a penny, whatever, a token, or I don't know. You'll use it more the lower we can reduce the cost. We're just going to add on ours above it. So it's our goal to drive the cost of the token usage down while increasing the output. So our cost becomes less.
And your profits are baked into the efficiency.
Exactly.
So it doesn't cost anymore at the end of the day.
Exactly. So it's,
fascinating.
So you guys could, so it finished this, it redesigned this a little bit. I forget what page I did, locations. Yeah. Oh, here you go. Yeah. Yeah. Just, I guess you go back to locations. No, what was it? Restaurants, maybe? Was it the restaurants tab? Yeah. So yeah, redesign this to be a little bit more organized. And it should put like tooltips and everything where it thinks it needs to put tooltips.
So basically deploy this to dev or staging servers, and then everybody looks it over, it goes through the QA testing, then you're like, okay, let's merge it into main and go live, right?
Yeah, and that's the part that we're working on now is like, how do we merge properly and making sure that you're not screwing things up.
Because even if you're doing that manually, that's not super time consuming.
Oh, no, it's nothing. And that's somewhat of our head developers were saying.
You may just want to keep it manual. Just
get to a scenario where when you make those changes, it learns what was changed, and then it will reflect that in the next, review. So there's a lot of Q&A benefit here. So if certain changes, if there's a security theme, for example, and you want to do Chris, remember we did the security assessment? It's the same kind of concept, just going through and say, okay, has it been resolved? And then go through that process again.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Let's say, I think you're onto something.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys see the value in it. When I was talking to Tony, and he was telling me about you guys developing stuff and making sure it's scalable and this and that and where you're at, I'm just like, listen, I got something I need to show you guys. I want to get their input.
I'm glad you did. This is crazy. Because right now, this is actually the best timing possible because
100%.
we are just now beginning our Claude Code training because a lot of these guys have never really used it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
with this team.
God.
So
You're right.
I can't
for a short time.
say that. I mean, they're not clueless from that. It's just they don't use it at the context level that what you're saying. I already know because I see them using it. But it's the challenge with our tech stack is it's very diverse and it's weaving it in all into one context to make it cohesive. And that's the part where I think this is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, the vectorization makes
things beyond what you would normally think of.
That is everything. Without that aspect, they will get frustrated because they're like, I can't, cool, let me use this, but it didn't think about this. We kept on having to deal with that. And then they're like, screw this, I don't want to use it. It's going to screw me up more.
Yeah.
Now our guys have been
not used, so that's what we need to do is provide that direction so that they're not scared to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Put the side rails up when they're bowling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe early Monday, even after our Monday call, and just see next steps on. I'm just curious, Anthony. I'm just curious on the backside of this, like rough estimate. I'm not going to hold you to it, but I'm just curious. Like, what would it take? At least. Again, this may be a big question that you may not have the answer to it.
Yeah.
But what do you think it would take to implement this for us? How many hours? What's it cost? So we can let Tony know at a baseline what we're looking at.
If you were able to just give me a understanding of your architecture and your code base and the different tools that you're using, hence Slack, Jira, like a lot of that stuff's going to make it a lot easier because you're using the same tools that we are. So my guys aren't going to have to go learn or integrate something new. So if you give me that, I can give it to them and say, hey, listen, this is what these guys are using. And I'll have them estimate it because it could take 50 hours. It could take 400 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair.
All right, cool.
Alrighty.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks everybody for your time.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Right,
can you send me the recording as well?
Yeah, I can do that. I think I have you on I've got your email. We're good. I'll send it to you.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.